Welcome. Thanks for coming to the webinar. We have Michael Perna here, as you guys well know, sells a lot of houses in Detroit. We're going to divide this webinar up into three sections today. First, I'm going to ask Michael about what's going on with the state of the market as of October 2023. Then we're going to dive into what he's doing for marketing to sustain his production, most likely to his database, but we'll talk about other lead sources as well.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, as part of the interview, we're going to talk about stepping up the calling and the reach outs and the contacts and what's going on there to reach more people, because you have to reach a lot more people now to find someone who's looking to buy or sell a home. So my name is Frank Klesitz. Michael's a client of ours. I'm with Vyral Marketing. One of the promises is if you attended this webinar, you would get a free email out to your database to spike seller leads. So Michael, you send out the free home value, cash
Mm-hmm.
offer, direct offer emails.
We
Could you
do.
speak to those results really quick? I'm going to give everyone here the option to get that for free. I want to put a link in for
Absolutely.
everybody.
Yeah. So, and Frank, I thank you so much for this. And I'm gonna toot your horn just a little bit. You've spent more time than anyone I know learning and mastering the art of copywriting, right?
Yeah.
Which really is not something I'm good at and something I don't want to put the time into. I appreciate that being a client of yours and being a client of yours for so long, you actually write that email for me, which is amazing. We use that email every month. And on average, we get 6, sometimes as many 8 listings each time we put that email out. So right now we're taking between 25 and 40 listings a month, and that's between 20 and 30% of our actual listings each and every month. I don't
I
know
wasn't,
if I
I
ever
wasn't
told you
even
that.
told me that. It's really
No,
good.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I don't think I ever said that to you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to cut to the chase, you're going to come to this webinar and be like, I need some business now. The fastest thing that you can do is to round up all the contacts in your CRM,
Yep.
your Gmail,
Yep.
cell
Your
phones,
phone.
scrub them, clean them,
Yep.
and get them an email with some type of, find out what your home is worth, get a cash offer on your home, come to my seller workshop, maybe even search for homes on your website. Um,
Yep.
if you attend this webinar, email me. There's the details. It's free. So that's it. And then Michael, before we get into this, anyone who watches this is welcome to work with you, coach with you, join your team, join EXP who you're with now. Could you
Yep.
drop your email address into the chat? Then we'll get into the content.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put that in right now.
Yeah. I like to get those out of the way of next steps for everybody. So, Michael,
And and anybody who's on here who has additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I mean, and I see a couple of friendly faces on there. Steve, uh, Ben Lang, like you guys know, like I'm around all the time. You can attest to that.
all right, Michael, what's going on with the market?
Well, okay. I mean, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you know some of this stuff, right? So we're coming off of a peak of about 6.8 million home sales nationwide. It looks like we're going to end the year somewhere around 4.2 million home sales nationwide. That is a tremendous change. 6 million less home sales this year than 2 years ago. Subsequently, the number of real estate agents, of course, in the last 2 years has gone up. We saw a little bit of a dip, but really they've gone up. We're around 1.5 million real estate agents, which means that there's about 3.5 home sales per agent, which is the lowest it's been in about 20 years. So we have to work a heck of a lot harder to get to each deal, and then work a heck of a lot harder just to keep them together. So we've seen that in our market here in Metro Detroit. We're down about 35. We're on approach to almost 40% less just available transactions. And when I say transactions, it's like, okay, it might be, let's say, 30% less home sales. But remember, each home sale accounts for 2 transactions, 2 paychecks, on the list side and the buy side. So it's a lot of checks that are missing from the market. So it's not just 2.6 million checks, it's 5.2 million checks when you consider that there's a commission on each side of the transaction.
When did you realize we were going to be going into a market like this? When did you start
Um,
feeling it?
We started feeling it a little bit late last year, of course, with interest rates and everything else, but it really hit us hard going into June, specifically here in Metro Detroit.
Okay. So last year, how many units did you sell last year? Just almost a
900,
thousand?
yep, just a hair under 1,000,
Just
967.
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was close. We were like right there at 1,000.
So
Yeah,
let's spend the rest of our time. Let's talk about what you're doing from a marketing and a prospecting standpoint and how you're
yeah,
readjusting priorities and where you're putting your efforts to maintain that level of production. Let's talk from a marketing standpoint first. Let's maybe go through top lead sources and where you're putting your dollars to generate leads.
Absolutely. So, I mean, first and foremost, we are a client of Vyral. We have been,
Thank you.
I think I'm client number six, literally, like in the system. I think I'm like number six. Somebody told me that once, one of the account reps I had. Um, and for anybody who doesn't know, Get Viral helps with getting two video emails out to the database every single month, plus a written email, which is awesome. Um, that's just been a mainstay in our business for 10 years, 11
We're
years,
over a decade.
over a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Um, one of our and I want to be a little more on the seller focus side, if that makes sense, because I know that that's been a lot of the questions. We still run real heavy and hard at expires and for sale by owners. Those are still a very big bread and butter. We're still listing between 8 and 12 a month, just expires and for sale by owners. I have an inside sales team. Three of our inside sales people are literally that is what they prospect each and every day, because it still works even in this market, there are still a ton of expires that are happening each and every day. And I know, I know to some extent, some of this is okay. Some of them are some wacky properties and things like that. But for the most part, it's the same thing that if you've been in this business for a decade, we saw it a decade ago, we saw it 20 years ago, we see it now. There are agents that are listing these properties at any price, whatever price the seller tells them, and then fails to communicate the reality of the market. So they never get the price reduction, or just fails to communicate at all. So like we're still in this place where sellers homes come off the market and they didn't even realize that they had come off the market because they hadn't talked to their agent in 90 days or 120 days or 6 months or whatever that looks like. Same thing with for sale by owners. As hot of a market as it is, we're seeing a lot of for sale by owners failing to navigate, and this is specific. We're seeing a lot of for sale by owners we're picking up failing to be able to navigate the inspections and the appraisal issues that are coming in, right? So that's another issue that we've seen with this market that's super unique. Our fall apart rate, our fall apart rate, I mean, kind of the rule of thumb was if you got on approach, like with a larger team, if you're on approach to about a 10% transaction fall apart rate, it's something you want to look at. We'd always been hovering around the 4% mark for as long as I've been in the business. And now we're closer to 25 to 30%.
Whoa.
Nationwide, it's almost 40%. So while we're beating the market, think about this from a for sale by owner's perspective, right? These guys may have never sold a home before, or if they did it back in like 2014 or 15, where there was a lot more forgiveness on home inspections, a lot less cold feet. They weren't up against the challenges of interest rates continuing to go up mid-transaction if their loan officer forgot to lock them in or didn't get the pre-approval done in time. So they don't know how to navigate this. So a lot of the for sale owners that we're running into now, and we're starting to wait a month and then really go heavier at them. They've gotten an offer. They've done the home inspection. The home inspection revealed the same stuff that it always does, except this time the buyers are using it as an excuse to exit the transaction. And for sale owners don't know how to deal with it. Honest to God, they just don't. Like a lot of them are, and I don't want to say they're even refusing to negotiate. A lot of them will negotiate. They just don't know how to, if that makes sense,
Yeah, it's
right?
not so much it's bringing the buyer, it's getting the deal to close.
Getting the
Like,
deal to the closing, and that's been the hardest part for these guys, from what I'm finding. So we're having some pretty extreme success with the for sale by owners weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6, because they'll get an offer in the first 2 weeks, but then in the next 2 weeks it'll fall apart on them. Yeah.
what else are you doing?
Okay. Other than that, we are doing a lot of circle prospecting around open houses. We're doing big open house blitz, diving into the neighborhoods. And here's what I mean by that. We just had a 50 open house weekend. One of our coaches challenged us to do 50 open houses over 2 days, and we actually did it. During that time, we had hundreds of people through. I think the final tally was 340 families through, which for us means that that's going to add around 30 transactions to 50 transactions to the bottom line.
Wow.
We focused very heavy on door knocking those streets. So we had a lot of the neighbors through. So now the neighbors are starting to come peep back and say, okay, how did you get that much traffic through? Because now they're interested in selling and they know it's a harder market with the interest rates the way that they are. Sphere of influence, of course, has been a big
Hey, hey,
one.
hey, hold on. Where can someone get that playbook for how you do your open houses?
Oh, shoot me an email. I've got it all written out. It's like a 15-page playbook, including scripts, dialogues, and everything. Like I had to write this whole thing out
Michael,
again,
that's really valuable.
dude, and it worked. It doing the multiple open houses. I've learned really. So I see
I
like
love multiples 50 for you.
I know multiples 50. Yeah. Well, we averaged 10 to 12 in a weekend. So going from 10 to 12 to a 50 was a big push for us, right? But what I was also finding was it kind of took me back to my days when I was a solo agent, where open houses were one of my like three mainstays. I used to do two on Saturday and two on Sunday and then one on Thursday. And I would do that like once a month. So I'd do like a Thursday twilight open house and then do two on Saturday, two on Sunday. I didn't have the listing, so I had to like, go around the office or call other agents or even call agents from different brokerages or call some of the larger teams and say, hey, what do you got for me that I can do as an open house? I don't care how long it's been on the market. And I'd slot in 5 open houses in a week. And it was good because my Thursday open houses, I love those the best. I was taking the buyers off the market before they got to anybody else's Saturday or Sunday open house. Because if you're a buyer on Saturday, guess what? You're a buyer 3 days before on Thursday, right? Also, there are different traffic patterns that are happening on Thursday versus Saturday and Sunday. So catch a different group of buyers. So effectively, if you came into one of my open houses on Thursday, which was usually a very slow open house, right? It would give me a lot of time to get into a relationship with you. Chances are I would take you out and see another property that Thursday, or I would at least book an appointment to see other homes with you on Friday or even Saturday. I would effectively be taking you away from anybody else that was hosting an open house 3 days later, 2 days later, which was great. Also, by doing them on Thursday, if I couldn't lock them into an appointment, I still had 4 more open houses that weekend. I could at least tell them about those. Say, hey, Frank, I know this one didn't work out for you. And I'm holding this one over in Troy open between 11 and 1 on Saturday. And I'm holding this one over in Rochester Hills open between 2 and 4 on Saturday. I'm holding this one open in Royal Oak, and I'm holding this one open on Bloomfield between 11 and 1 and then 2 and 4 again. So the busy store concept worked on a couple of different levels. Busy because I had access to 5 sellers that were willing to do open houses that week. And I would spend a lot of time setting this up for a once a month kind of a blitz. I'd always get 2 or 3 closings off this. But the busy store concept is like when you have a restaurant that's not as busy, you start shutting down sections of it to force all the people to kind of sit together to make it feel busier than it is. So then they tell their friends how good of a restaurant it is and how busy it is, and everybody wants to be there. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to go to that restaurant. Right. I try to do that same concept with my business where I'll come off just a little busier than I am, which makes people say, oh my gosh, this guy's busy. He must be in high demand. He must know what he's doing. I want to work with him too.
Expired FISBOs.
Expires and FISBOs.
An incredible open house playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Has all these other benefits built into it to get listings, right?
Yep.
What was the third one?
Third one, sphere of influence. Are we doing balloons? Is that
I guess.
I don't know how to. That's new in Zoom. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a thumbs up thing somebody did the other day. It was interesting. You must have a Mac or something. I've got it. Oh, there it is. I've got a Surface Pro. And again, sphere of influence, right? Like just back to the basics. Like our sphere of influence has, and we've gone heavy on it and light on it from time to time, but we're right back at it, doing events, doing we just did we ran out the Imagine Theater in Royal Oak. We had 400 people in for that, which was great. Got to see they in the space of an hour, I got to shake hands with 400 people, which was awesome. People actually took photos with me and everything. It was during a U of M game day, so I was all decked out in my U of M gear, which was pretty cool. Go blue. Sorry, Michigan State. I'm going to lose half the crowd with that comment, I'm sure. And that's okay. It's okay. I own that. But our movie events, which we've gone to a costless event for us because of vendors. All right, Jody, the booter. Boot Jody. She's out. She's done. No, go green. Not here. Thank you. I appreciate it. But we've gone to a costless event with the vendors between mortgage companies, title companies, home warranty companies, inspection companies. Like there's somebody there that's willing to put dollars in for these events. So we find those people, and then 3 or 4 times a year, we have these events and we run them at a zero cost.
Michael, I love that. The costlessevent.com.
The costless event.
Get your playbook.
Yeah. But it's great because now I'm bringing something of value. I get to contact them 6 or 7 times. So what that kind of looks like for us is if you are on my list to come to the event, a month before the event, you're going to get an email, a text, and a phone call inviting you, right? If you have not responded to any of those, 3 weeks before, you're going to get something physical in the mail from us, an actual physical invitation with a QR code to sign up and everything. Then 2 weeks before, anybody that hasn't responded, you get another call and then a video text. 1 week before, you get a call and a video text. And then a couple of days before, hey, we've got just a couple of cancellations. Do you want to go to this thing? We're almost sold out. I've got 5 tickets left. How many do you need? right? We want to make sure this thing is full. We oversell the event by 15% because 20 to 25% of people just don't show up. Sometimes it's as high as 30. Things that are free, sometimes people don't have put a high value on, so they just don't show up. I love the Imagine No Buy because we can also sometimes, because we run earlier day on Saturday or on Sunday movies, if we need a bigger screening or a bigger space, they can accommodate, which I love the local theaters. And Imagine's really, Imagine is more local to a Michigan or a Midwest type of a theater. I believe they have 20 theaters now, but a lot of times they can move us from an X amount of person theater to that plus 100 if we need more seats. Provide parking passes for the free parking because it is downtown Royal Oak, so you got to pay for that usually. Uh,
Michael, you're breaking up just a little bit.
and then we provide the ticket, a popcorn, a drink, and a candy for each and every person. Oh,
I
there
think
we go.
you're
Is that
okay.
better?
We're just breaking up a bit.
You got me?
But dude, Michael,
Okay. Yeah.
these are all separate webinars. I
Yeah,
mean,
we can dive deep into this. And then
I mean,
each event that we do, we also have a videographer and a photographer on site. So we capture the people coming in, we capture them in their seats, we capture the photos, the videos, all of it, right? And then we send out two separate notifications afterwards. For the people that came, it's a thank you so much for coming with the sizzle reel, with a 45-second sizzle reel, which we just go to Fiverr to get a good editor. That's it. They're not expensive, but I want to thank them for coming and then remind them of the next event we have and give them priority access to be able to sign up for it. So the next event that we're having is well, we have Pi Day, of course, but the next event that we're having is I do have a list. Thanks, Alexa. Shoot me an email. My favorite event of the year. And then the second list are the people that did not go to the event.
I think you're breaking up, Michael. If you're on a laptop, maybe move closer to.
Or they just didn't sign up. Oh, are you losing me?
Yeah, if you're on a laptop, or can you get next to your router a little closer, or plug into Ethernet?
Yeah, I can.
It's okay. Let me just recap with everyone here. Expireds and FSBOs. We can go do a deep dive on that.
Yep.
Open houses. You have a whole playbook everyone can email you to get. Past clients in Sphere, you're doing the viral marketing system of the videos, and your YouTube channels is incredible. All right. Of
Yep.
sending all that stuff out for years with the direct response offers, with amazing events. Is there one more lead source from a marketing standpoint you can share that has been really helpful to help you maintain production? You gave us those three so far. Give us one more.
Okay. I'll give you one more. YouTube and Instagram, which is just really starting to come together for me. After 2 years of beating my head against the fence, I'm actually starting to produce leads at a regular level. And I mean like 4 to 6 closings a month, right? If you go to the Perna team on Instagram or go to Michael Perna on YouTube, and feel free to do two things. One, of course, follow me on both. Two, every time I put something up, copy it. Just copy it, literally. Like half the ideas that I'm getting, I'm just copying from other people anyway, right? But I'm getting to that point where, and this is not a knock against traditional marketing methods, TV, radio, or anything like that. But like with my Instagram right now, we're reaching 900 to 950,000 accounts per month, right? They're actually seeing our stuff, and you can see it in the professional dashboard. With YouTube, we're at around 850 watch hours per month, right? If you look at it, we're also putting up very different content. So I'm putting up the stuff that's creating an emotional response on Instagram. I've learned that that's the best way to do it. Nobody wants to go to Instagram to watch a 10-minute video. Nobody. Like with TikTok, you can put on 10-minute videos. Nobody wants to go to TikTok to watch a 10-minute video, but they will go to YouTube to watch a 10-minute video. And what I'm finding is they're playing together where people are realizing the human side of me and of the team through Instagram and Facebook, but then they're calling from YouTube, right? And they're realizing the professional side, because all YouTube is really, it is Google. It's just a video library instead of a website library, right? So people are going onto YouTube and they're consuming 8, 10, 12, 15-minute videos, right? But I'm gaining validity as a human through Instagram. And it took me a long time. It took me about a year to figure out the differences between them, right? And so like with our YouTube, we've really cut everything that's not an evergreen content with the exception of what's going on in the area for families that month and what's going on in the area concerts and comedy that month. Other than that, anything that is time based, we are not doing on YouTube. Everything time based, we'll do on Instagram. So, like the jobs report that came out, we'll hit that. Things pertaining to like cider mills, which Michigan is a big cider mill state. We have the second most cider mills of any state except New York. Haunted houses, we're really big around Halloween around these parts, right? I'm sure the whole country is. Like we want to hit those things, right? More so than anything else on Instagram. But when it comes to YouTube, those are people that want to know what it's like to live in Plymouth, Michigan. Not just like, hey, what's the population? It's a, hey, if I live here, what do I do with my kids? I'm going to go to Kellogg Park. I'm going to take them to the Zoo Boo at the Detroit Zoo. I'm going to eat at this restaurant. I would actually skip this restaurant. You know what I mean? Here's who I would call for these different services within the cities. Like people want to experience what it is to live there, and they want somebody to take them on those tours.
You have
And then
860 hours a month are watched on YouTube.
yeah,
That's
how
incredible.
much time it cost on TV? That's like tens of thousands of dollars of TV advertising. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And I do no advertising on YouTube. Zero ad dollar spent. It's all organic.
Let's switch now to calls.
Okay.
So there's
That's
what
a
you're
good one.
doing for marketing for your exposure and
Mm-hmm.
leads.
Mm-hmm.
All of those have a day playbook of your knowledge for each of those pillars. But
Yes.
that doesn't do anything unless we're making phone calls. Can you give everyone like the depth of how many texts and emails and phone calls that are happening in your team to
Yeah,
get somebody on the phone?
for sure. And I track that like a hawk, especially right now. Actually, I track that every single week. And I'm actually considering going down to a day level tracking, like going super, super close to the ground on it. So going into the market where it was a little bit easier of a market, now becoming a harder market, we were between 18 and 21,000 calls and texts per week.
You're breaking up a little
Not per
bit.
month.
You're breaking up. Say that
Okay.
again.
We were between 18, yep. Going into this market, we were between 18 and 21,000 calls and texts per week,
Wow.
which is a lot, which is a lot. And to be able to at least sustain what we had before, we had to re-benchmark. I was going to throw that right in the chat. Uh,
Yeah. 18 to 21,000 attempts per week.
yep, yep. And then going into this market, as the market was shifting, I realized that whatever it is that it took us to get what we got before, it'd have to be at least 50% harder, I would think, right? So now our new benchmark, our new standard is 30,000 per week.
And how are you motivating your agents? How many agents do you have, and how do you motivate them to go
Yeah,
through all that
we're
pain?
roughly 100 agents. Yeah, we're roughly 100 agents right now, and we're still recruiting at a high level, bringing more in, and that's for a different reason as well, which I'll talk about. Um, but a lot of it is we're motivating them one on one by we're going back into what their why is and what their goals are, and then what the consequences are of not hitting those goals, and then effectively giving them the choice because it's their choice. It's not my choice. I can't make somebody do something. I can't force somebody to be a rock star agent, right? Like if they value sitting on their couch watching TV during the day more than they do making the calls necessary to pay their mortgage, I can't change that. But what I can do is increase the heat and the sense of urgency by holding that mirror up to their face much more often and much closer, showing them what happens 90 days from now if they don't pick up the phone today and tomorrow and the next day. Because we all either get rich or go broke the same way. It's gradually, then suddenly.
Some, yeah.
And that's it. And one day we wake up and we look at our bank account. There is, and I'm gonna see if I can make sure the name's not on this thing. Okay, it's not. I saw this in a Facebook group today. I don't know if you can see that.
You got it covered. You brought in the
There
side.
we go.
Hopefully the camera switches. Hang on. As of now, I won't make my next mortgage payment. This is the worst business ever this year. What? Yeah, a little too late for that, isn't it?
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
unfortunate thing is, if this person had realized, not to be offensive anyway, I've actually reached out to them personally, but like if they had realized 90 or 120 days ago that if they had not pivoted their activities by 50%, this would happen. And yeah, Ben, I'm seeing it too. I am 100% seeing it. And that's where we're trying to stay in front of it as much as we can. We had these conversations back in March, April, May, June. And the conversations have changed drastically. And it was, Frank, the school that you want your kids to go to because you want to send them to this private school, that's not going to happen if we keep this up. Now the conversations are, Frank, are you going to be hiding your car when the repo man comes to get it?
Who has those
Are showing that the repo is going to be.
Yeah, those are difficult conversations to have.
I do. Austin does. Sadie does. We're all having these conversations right now, and some people are literally choosing. And I think we're going to see 30% of our team turnover, which is why again we're recruiting so hard, and this is the reason because a lot of folks got into this business to make their 40, at least with the teams, to make their 40, 50, 60,000 per year. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. That's no judgment. But the amount of lift it takes to make that, a lot of people are saying, you know what? I'm just going to get a regular job because I can wait tables with no stress and make 40 or 45,000 a year. I'm not kidding. So I think we have seen, but we're going to continue to see more and more opt-outs on the team. Now, that said, there's also opportunity for those that are skilled. So we've got multiple agents whose sales are actually boosted this year. But it comes down to the two things. The ones that are the most skilled that can have the right conversation with the client at the right time, and the ones that are willing to pick up the phone and do the work, right? They're willing to wake up in the morning, get suited up, get booted up, and then get on the phones and do the work, right? So like, I was listening today. We had our Tuesday sales meeting today. We had about 6 agents in, which was disappointing. We had 30 on Zoom, which is great. That means 20 were MIA. Those 20 probably won't be in the business in the next 60 days. Not to be offensive to them, just is what it is. The 40 that are on Zoom or 30 that are on Zoom or whatever that looked like, I would wager a guess that half of them are not in the business in 120 days. The ones that were but in the office, those guys will be in the business. And even more of those, let's call it 60 that were in the office, there were 20 of them that remained behind and they've been sitting here prospecting all day. It's 2 p.m. where I'm at right now. Our meeting ended at 10 a.m. and they've been sitting there prospecting. Those guys are not only surviving, they're thriving. And listening to their conversations, they're also the highest skilled because they're listening to each other because they're in that environment, right? I'm listening to a conversation about somebody talk about, and we call it the Warren Buffett conversation, where when everybody's running in a direction, you run in the other direction, right, Mr. Buyer? Yup. Okay, great. So what direction are buyers running in? Well, with high interest rates, they're not buying homes. Okay, great. What do you think is going to happen when interest rates come down? Well, all the buyers are going to run to buy homes. Okay, great. So what's going to happen to home values when all the buyers flood the market again? Well, they're going to go up. Of course they are, Mr. Buyer. So do you want to be in a position where you're buying a home that's 30, 40, 50,000 more expensive? Or do you want to buy now and just have a high rate for 18 months? Right? I'm listening to that happen to these people that are in the office. But that also means that 40 to 50 of my agents are not going to be here in 12 months or less. So I've got to keep on recruiting and I got to keep on bringing these guys in and skilling them up actively and figuring out which are the ones that have the grit. Because if you have the grit, I can teach you the skill.
You're an
If you have
excellent
the skill,
agent and leader, Michael.
I tried. Well, thank you. I'm following your moves. I'm trying to be. Thank you.
That was my moves. You're really good. Look, let's give the audience here some action steps.
Yeah.
So
And then Steve, I'm gonna say I don't have an expectation per contact or per dial per se. We have it at 500 activities, whether it's calls or text within the CRM, just to stay on appointments, on ISA set appointments, which is a very minimal number. If you're doing a couple of deals in a month, you're going to hit that just doing your deals. But I want the ability to hire adults, which is also part of the reason why I cycle through more people than, let's say, the average team, because I also don't want to have to babysit you 24/7. Go ahead, Frank. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, dude, let's
Yeah.
let's kind of wrap this up with some good action steps for everyone.
Yeah.
First, where we opened up is you were promised an email that could go out to
Mhm.
your database to spike some listings. And for anyone here that wants it, it is free. Vyral will do it for free for you. I'm going to put that in the chat.
Yep.
Go check that out. And we do that for Michael every single month. Second, when it comes to making YouTube videos or publishing content on YouTube or Instagram, just literally copy the topics Michael's sending out,
Just copy them.
right? Just copy him. You have his permission. That's great. 860 watch hours a month can't go wrong. All right.
Right.
You can email Michael for a copy of his open house playbook. That was after FISBOs and expireds. That was your number 2 source. I'll put my email in your email there. Okay. For anyone that's local in Detroit, I'm sure they would love to come in and see your operation and sit in and see how people are calling and prospecting and looking
Absolutely.
at those what if someone want to come in and shadow you?
Sure. If someone wants to come in the shadow, we open up our office to everybody that wants to come in every single Tuesday, no matter what. Specifically, and shoot me an email if you want to come on in, or shoot me a call or a text or whatever that looks like. I'll throw my number in there too. I know a lot of you guys already have it. I hope you do at least. Yeah, so every Tuesday we do our 9 a.m. meeting. And then after that, I sit with anybody that wants to come in personally for an hour and just chit chat and whatever they want to know, open up all the playbooks, open up, like I'll go walk over. Like we had a gentleman in from Chicago the other day that wanted to know more about ISA departments. So we just sat in the ISA department for 2 hours and helped them kind of build out the next 90-day action plan, right? In addition to that, on November 15th, we've got our all-day offsite. We'll have some guest speaker announcements coming up. And that runs from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's where we bring the entire team offsite. Why is it November 15th? Because for us, that's New Year's Day. Pretty much every deal pended after the 15th closes in 2024. So we want to start the first month strong. So
Michael,
Tuesday, anybody's welcome.
Okay, you're breaking up just a little bit. Why don't you write that down? Tuesday, someone can come shadow you in Detroit. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. We promised everyone 30 minutes here. All right. Hopefully we delivered for you and why you attended here the webinar. There will be a replay for you if you registered. Okay. You know how to get a hold of Michael. You know how to get a hold of me. This will be up on YouTube. And Michael, let's do some more of these, man. I mean, we can take this entire webinar and go super deep on any one of these lead sources. You have so much unique knowledge to share that can really help people. And if you have the opportunity to work with Michael, do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's that, man?
Appreciate that. That means a lot.
You're a busy guy. I know I can keep you all day long, but that was 30 minutes. That's all we got for today, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate the time and getting this together for everybody. And hey, everybody that I know, and if I don't know you, call me or text me or email me or something. I'd love to know you. Thank you.
See you guys. Take care.